How does the life of a vulnerable child in Moldova looks like?
A vulnerable child in Moldova may be a child who lives in a poor family, may be a child with a disability where they find themselves discriminated against in school, where there's not an effort made to include them in regular schools, and so they end up separated from their families, living in internats when there's no reason, when they can attend school with other children. Or it may be a Roma child who, for example, feels unwelcome in school, and so again is marginalized and becomes more vulnerable, less likely to finish school, less likely to then get a job and contribute well to society later on, and more likely to feel like an outsider. So poverty, disability, ethnicity, and society's negative responses to children in these situations are what make children vulnerable.
The Eastern European and Central Asia region has the highest number of children placed in institutions. What are the root causes for this phenomenon in the region and particularly in Moldova?
In the region, many children live in institutional care because this used to be the main way to provide social services to families and children who needed them by providing institutions. So it was the right idea in terms of wanting to make sure that children who had problems had support, but perhaps not the best way to really do the best for those children. What's needed now are more social services which help families to keep their children, to care for them well.
How does UNICEF work with decision makers to ensure that the rights of all children are respected and all child is neglected, including the most vulnerable children?
UNICEF works with ministries, we work with civil society, and we work with parliamentarians. And what we do is we help make sure they have the information and the evidence they need so that they can make good decisions. So for example, in Moldova, we've helped them to find out how many children, to find out that children who live in institutions, that the cost to society of keeping children in institutions is much more than the cost of providing services in the community. And then this information the parliamentarians can use to argue, and so can the Ministry of Social Protection, to say to the Ministry of Finance, look, we need to spend our money on services at local level instead of on institutions.
Thank you very much.